For a while, I knew that the Elush had a particular family structure and particular moral values, but I wasn't sure why. I think of world building as kind of like archaeology. You have some evidence and some stuff you know happened, and you need to figure out how it all makes sense together. In this case, I figured it out by looking at archaeological theories about Greece. When people were becoming more sedentary and more focused on agriculture, they lived in clusters of houses with shared cooking facilities. They probably shared the food too. Even if they didn't want to, cooking in public makes it really easy for preparing and eating food to become a communal activity. But people stopped wanting to share. Agriculture takes a lot of effort, and you don't see the results for a while. If you know you'll have to share the crops, maybe you'll get resentful about putting in all the effort. Maybe you'll start hoarding your food and cooking it in private. Or maybe there are a couple bad years, and people get nervous. They think they need to hoard or they'll die. And so the household draws into itself. In areas of Neolithic Greece and early Elush, cooking areas became walled off over time, and people privately hoarded more and more food. As Elush families became more insular, the doorway became perceived as a boundary that should never be crossed, and that moral attitude survived for thousands of years. There's a word in the Elush language that very literally means to cross the doorway. It's used in two very different idiomatic ways, and it really depends on context. There are lots of puns and wordplay based off of this. The word means both to retreat to safety and to do something morally outrageous. Except, well, it's nice to have some friends, and to have somewhere shaded to sit with your friends. So a new room gets built in front of the doorway. Let's call it the guest room. In some houses it's just a tiny hall, and in some it's a whole series of rooms. And you should keep a little food and water in your guest rooms, so that if someone is desperately in need of help, you don't need to let them through your doorway. Even buildings like temples are thought of as homes for gods. Temples have a public area where anyone can visit, and a private area where only priests can go. And even then, the priests need to leave their original family and be adopted by a god. If you're not a priest, you'll probably live in the same house for all your life. As a family grows bigger, they'll keep adding rooms to the house. Occasionally, they'll rebuild parts of the house, but the doorway never moves. Rarely, a household will send out a few siblings to establish a new house together. One of my original inspirations for Elush was the Greek myth of Kronos and Zeus. Kronos, the king of the gods, is given a prophecy. One day he'll be overthrown by his children. So he eats his children so they can't overthrow him. It doesn't work, and Zeus overthrows him. The Greeks didn't read much moral value into most of their myths, but I thought it would be kind of interesting to learn lessons from this myth. So the Elush have a similar story. The sun and moon had children together that became the stars, but a rabbit heard whispers from the future that a star would overthrow the sun. The sun tried to eat his children, and so the moon gathered them together and ran off to the night sky. Ever since then, the sun has been chasing them round and round across the sky, and now there's a real possibility that the stars will kill the sun in self-defense. The Elush use this myth mostly to reinforce their family system. Children are raised by their mother's siblings, and the rest of their matrilineal house. Fathers shouldn't live with their children, or even meet their children for a while, because they might eat them. And nobody should have a prophecy made about them until they're old enough to defend themselves.